Today I'm going to be making art with this thing, the July Scrawlrbox. Let's find out what's inside. We got paper. I love this, I love this, I love this. Scrawlrbox sticker. Tissue paper, a blue sucker. This 2B Derwent Graphics pencil. Oh, they make their own paintbrushes. Number 10 flat brush with the Scrawlrbox logo. The menu listing all of the art supplies in this month's box. By this month, I mean last month, because I never get these on time. We have 1, 2, 3 paints. Cobra water mixable oil color. So they're like oil paints? I've never used oil paints before in my life. I just realized they're red, white, and blue. Got primary magenta, titanium white, and ultramarine. I have this funny little credit card with like little scissors and like dotted lines to cut on. So it looks like they're suggesting we try and use this to create art. It's actually really thick and you can use it to scrape art, mix paint, and cut it into different shapes and use it in all sorts of ways is what they suggest. We also have this tiny little square sketched canvas. Test it out. Sounds good. We have the print this month by Katie Jopling, and Katie lists some tips for using oils, like always start with the darker color first, and remember drying times are much longer than other paint types, like 3 to 5 days. That's fine. I like that it's kind of abstract, but you can tell that it's like flowers. I mean, unless I'm completely wrong, but it looks like pretty flowers. There is this piece of parchment or wax paper, a vegetable parchment, impervious to oils and acrylic, making it perfect for a temporary art palette. We can use it to mix or save colors, safe in the knowledge that it will not bleed or leak through onto the surface below. I'd swatch these in my sketchbook, but I do plan on using it in the next 3 to 5 days, so I'll find something else. I do have this cardstock that I can do a little bit of swatching on, and then we'll do our final illustration on this tiny itty bitty little baby canvas. Here we have the paints. Pencil. Okay. They feel a lot like paint, which is good because that's what they are. Kind of like mix them together. Wonder if it's kind of easy to do a gradient. Okay, I can see why people might like oil paints. They do seem to blend really nice. And I don't even know what I'm doing. Now, like it said on the packaging, you mix it with water instead of some kind of oil, which makes it a lot easier for someone who's used to acrylics. You've got, I think that's the French flag after it's been through the washing machine. I'd like to try to come up with an idea. They did include a prompt word, which is abstract floral. So I kind of would like to incorporate that idea, but at the same time, draw a character of some kind. Let's just see what I can come up with. I'm just gonna start sketching anything. It doesn't really matter, and we'll see where that takes me. Gotta love a classic HB pencil. So what if her hair is made out of flowers, kind of like what Katie painted over here? Kind of like this. And then the background can be really dark. Gotta also remember we're working with a square canvas. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be this small. I'm gonna need a finer brush. Then maybe there's a little bit of flowers as the dress or some kind of article of clothing. Now, I've never used oils, so let's kind of see how they interact with like pencils underneath them. I'm gonna start by, what did Katie say? Start with the darker colors first. I'm gonna take some of that magenta, put it on our little palette here, as well as our ultramarine, and mix these together. How do we use this thing? This is very different than like acrylics. I would usually start with a lighter color, although I don't know if that's correct when I do that, so maybe this will teach me something. All right, next I'd like to add a little bit of white to this same purple color. Actually, probably a lot of white, let's be honest. And kind of fill in the skin. And then we can get lighter for highlight. Try to get whatever detail I can with this wide brush for now. And then actually take the straight ultramarine, the backdrop of the hair, just to change the color up a little. I'm also just testing to see which colors look good where, because this is our first thumbnail. So we have a lot of room to experiment. Now, if we're looking at this, which I feel like is a really good reference of the way the colors and the contrast look. I might be able to use this to kind of figure out what I'm doing. Kind of grab a little bit of this. Then grab some white and make a new color and start blotching some more. Try and create those flower shapes just by blotching because we're looking for abstract here. Trying to think where light would be hitting flowers. Not entirely sure what I'm doing. Alright, here's what I'm working with. Playing around. I switched to a smaller brush. This is a number 4 round. Kind of wish I had a bigger canvas to work with. You get a little bit more detail. Sometimes limits can really heighten your creativity because it makes you have to really think and come up with something that you wouldn't necessarily choose on your own. You might come up with bad results, but it's never a bad thing for your brain. I'm getting a better like feel for how to use them. Like if you want it to blend more, you add a little water. If you want it to be much more shapeful, you use less water. So I'm like slowly figuring it out, one blop at a time. Kind of losing the sketch, so I kind of want to try something else. Let's start by drawing bigger. It looks like the graphite doesn't interact with the oils in any way, so we're safe to put as much detail into the sketch as we want. You're just never gonna see it again. Not sure where I'm going with this. Just being very soft and loose. Maybe incorporate some floral blobs here. Let's try and not include arms maybe. That way you have more space for just trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. I'm going to switch back to the larger brush. This time I'm going to fill the background in with a light color and then use darker colors maybe for the subject. Let's see where that takes me. Oh, we were supposed to start with dark colors, weren't we? Well then. We're supposed to start dark, so let's start with the dark color then. Color in the hair. Everything's just ended up purple so far. Do I want to keep that? I'm gonna be really crazy with it first, so it's gonna look like she has like a goatee here of very light colors, but I'm kind of trying to just blotch in the highlights before I forget where I wanted them, and hopefully we can go from there. Add a little bit more pink around the nose and maybe the eyes and lips and maybe even the chin. Add some eyelashes. I think I need to add some blue to the background here because right now her face is kind of blending in. So I'm thinking if I use blue, which is a cool color, it'll kind of push the background, you know, backwards. Maybe add a little water and blend out the edges. Not that much water. It's better. It doesn't need to actually be blue. It just needs to be bluer. Here's my second attempt at using these paints. I think I'm definitely getting a little bit more hang of it. I think the hardest part is trying to like maintain your sketch, which is something I've kind of been struggling with a lot lately in general. I'm like doing little swirly motions to kind of try and pull out the color that's underneath of it. Some places the paint underneath's a little wetter, which makes it a lot easier. Ooh, that looks like a schmancy dress. I like that it's kind of abstract, but there's like enough detail to tell you what you're looking at. I think it's time to move on to the canvas. That's almost the right size, so I won't have to draw too much smaller, I don't think. Some pencil. I think I'm gonna change the direction of the face, just to give me something more interesting to do. Try to figure out what angle we want. Erase some of these mistakes. I really like that swoop that like follows the scalp. Well, I like the face. We got one thing right. Although, wait. The way the body is angled, that doesn't make any sense. How can I fix this? How can I make it more interesting? Something more like this. Oh yeah, I like this better. Still needs something a little extra, you know. I just don't know what that is. I like imitate the shapes of her hair in this section of the dress. Kind of feel like going for it. The head is really, really big, but I think there's some charm in it. And if I make it any smaller, I'm gonna have a really hard time painting it. Try and get the shapes right while I can still see the sketch. Should probably be using the bigger brush for this. Start adding in another color here. maybe just add just a smidge of white and start coloring in the skin. Oh, we need more white than that because we need contrast between it and the hair. Oops, just bumped into the hair there. These first few steps are so creepy looking. I wonder if there's a way to make that so that it looks good on step 1. Use a little water, make sure I'm filling in all the little white spaces. It's be easier to fill those in when you have a little bit more water on your paintbrush. It's a bit of a slow process, but it's important to make sure you're actually coating all of these little white sections or it's going to look real messy when you're done. At least I assume. I say that like I'm privy to some sort of important information. Alright, now I'm gonna go in and add really blatant highlights. Maybe even mix a little pink into it. And these have to be like really big and clunky and then I'll blend in later. So like anywhere that a lot of light is hitting. I guess my light source is like here. The bigger I seem to start with these, the better it looks in the end. Because I end up like blending them to an oblivion. So I need to be really exaggerated with this. I also want to like darken up inside the ear. Alright, it's looking a little messy. I kind of like the way the pink looked in that one as that's drawing, so I'm going to mix a little more pink in for around the nose. We'll just see what happens. I usually like to get a little redder near the eyes. Just makes sense to me. I'm going to let that sit a little, soak in while I work on this shirt section. I want the dress to be that like dark red. So it's basically the purple mixed with some more magenta. Fix these eyes a little. Still working on this. Just plugging away. I feel like it's slowly improving. It's one of those things you just gotta work at. Slowly looking like a human. Kind of slowly becoming very glad that this is a small canvas. Or I might bite here for like a few years. What I think is most difficult for me to grasp is that these are not, I'm not using hard lines to describe every small detail. I gotta just do little subtleties. Alright, let's fill in the background. Switch back to the paintbrush, wherever that one went. I think I'll fill in the bottom of the background with the dark hair color, like this. And then move upwards to this color. Ooh, I kind of like that texture. Kind of blended as I go. Oops, that was supposed to be not filled in. I think this is an opaque art supply. Darken up the corners a little. Make sure we get those edges. I wanted it to be a little darker at the bottom. Now I'm going to switch over to the smaller paintbrush. Kind of paint in along the edges. I don't want to leave any white of the canvas. It just looks sloppy. Add that blue around the face to make the red in the skin pop a little more. I have to do the same over here where the shoulder is. Blending in a little. Oh, it's creating this really cool gradient. I added a bunch of white here and it's like mixing with the colors around it. It almost kind of looks like a flower. Oh no, did my camera die? Uh-oh. I think that means it's time to take a break. This feels like frosting. Okay, welcome back. I just charged the battery. I'm ready to keep working on this. What I did with working on it the same way I did this, which now I'm really liking this better. But I went a little overboard and then I started stretching it all around and now she's got a very large collar made of some kind of flowers. I want to add some blue to it now. Alright, so let's take some light blue, kind of just throw it in here and there. Maybe some dark blue at the same time. Not sure what I'm doing. I'm just trying to add some kind of like variation in the way these flowers look, because right now they're just blobby and we're trying to go for abstract flowers because that was the prompt. We're keeping the paintbrush pretty dry is helping with the flower shapes. I have a little too much paint to be able to get these kind of strokes, but I'm trying. Change up the direction of the strokes maybe might help. I think the white looks pretty good though. I think I'll keep doing that. I kind of like that better. I feel like it should be darker in this section. Like Katie said, it's hard to add darkness once you've already got some light there. So I'm going to try and just glob it here. See what I can do. I'll change up the direction. Just wetting this brush, and then I'm gonna do a little blending. Some of the new colors I added to the face. Thinking it might be time to call this one quits. I feel like I'm just kind of making it worse. Here's the mess I made today with the art supplies from the July Scrawlrbox. It was really fun testing out these oils for the first time. I wonder what the difference is between water mixable oils and regular oils. I'm not really that experienced because I've never really looked into them because they just seemed like a lot of work, and that 3-day drying time. That's not my speed. I'm a quick lazy artist. Don't ask me to wait 3 days to add another layer. I want to thank Scrawlrbox for sending the box my way for free to try out and to share with you guys. Ooh, when did this happen? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all next week, and I hope you have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye!